Andrew Neil has left GB News. I'm not really very impressed, I have to say. And I've bitten my tongue about the way that Andrew Neil has comported himself during his leadership of GB News. And now that he's left, I feel that I can rightfully criticise. Because I think that, like other people, I'm very disappointed, and this is not acceptable. So let's have a bit of a retrospect. What is GB News? GB News was meant to be an anti-woke answer to the BBC, a television station where they would be talking about things that are not politically correct, I assume. Although that was never really like that clear, because Andrew Neil, I don't know, he seems to have a very, like, he despises wokeness, but he also doesn't want to be normal. He seems to want to have this kind of weird non-woke elitist mindset. But anyway, so they launched on the 13th of July 2021, and apparently they had promised to deliver impartial journalism. The channel's director, John McAndrew, had previously worked for BBC, Sky News, NBC and ITN, tweeting that it will be free, fair and impartial, as well as Ofcom regulated. And so, okay, well, I was quite excited for this. This sounds good. Piers Morgan had just left Good Morning Britain after being outwoked by someone, and so he was in discussions with Andrew Neil, and you think, okay, well, this is good. You've got, an absolutely veteran broadcaster, you've got veteran director, you get people like Piers Morgan on board. This is all starting to come together. They had £65 million worth of funding as their backers. This is all starting to come together. This could be something really, really good. But didn't go brilliantly, did it? Because people instantly started saying, oh, this is going to be a British Fox News.
Good.
British Fox News. It'll be right-leaning. Okay, that sounds great. Wonderful. Let's hear it. And so Andrew Neil was like, no, it's not going to be British Fox News. God forbid. Oh, it's not going to be British Fox News. I have worked too long and hard to build up a journalistic reputation to consider going down that route. There will be a strong editorial charter written into everyone's contract saying if they spread fake news and conspiracy theories, they will face disciplinary action. But I don't think Fox News is just fake news and conspiracy theories. Why does he think that it is? Right? And then, of course, he tweets out again, GB News will not be Fox News, but of course suits you to claim it. We don't care. It's like, okay, but what's wrong with being Fox News exactly? Because Fox News is the most successful TV news network in the entire West. I mean, there might be ones in China and India that have literally billions of people watching that are more successful, but in the Western English-speaking world, Fox News is by far the most successful, right? Literally millions of views. Now, of course, you wouldn't expect millions of viewers on one thing in Britain because we're a much smaller country than the United States. But, it's absolutely dominating all of its competitors. And Andrew Neil's saying, I'm not going to be like that. Why?
Then we go, well, Fox News has done wrong there.
No. Not been woke has been the main problem. But anyway, so GB News started quite well. They had good ratings to start with. They reached 3.7 million viewers in their first month compared to the BBC's 12.6 million, 8.4 million for Sky News, 4.6 million for Sky Sports News, according to the Broadcasters Audience Research Board. I don't know how they come to these figures, and I don't know if they're unique viewing figures or not, or whatever. I don't know how these are taken together, but let's just assume for the sake of argument that they're reasonably accurate. And so that was a fairly good start, and on certain time slots they were beating out Sky News and BBC, and so good start. It was plagued by technical problems though, which wasn't a good start, and these were really, really insufferable. They were embarrassing, really, really cheap sounding audio. We had constant whining in the background. It's just insufferable to listen to. Bad quality mics, bad lighting, bad sets, misspelled chirons, misbehaving graphics, lost connections to remote guests, and confusion among presenters. And okay, don't get me wrong. On your first day, I could accept that, right? You're all new.
We've all been there.
We've all been there, right? Even though you guys have been Andrew Neil's been literally doing this for 50 years, the other members of the team apparently have been there for quite some time, doing all this. They should have known what they're doing, but they obviously didn't spend the money on the tech team. But okay, we've all been there. It's all new. It's all confusing. Everyone has some time to settle in. But these errors persisted for literally weeks. I mean, still now, I'll listen to some GB News clips and they'll tune in the wrong microphone or something like that for a guest. And it's just like, what are you doing? Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it's easy, but I am saying you're supposed to be professionals. But problems that should have been fixed in days took instead weeks. And they weren't fixed when Andrew Neil decided that after 2 weeks of being there, he was going to go on a break. Is that what the leader does? Is it just like, ooh, a bit of rocky start, he admits. So I'm going away after 2 weeks. 2 whole weeks. Having done 8 episodes of his flagship show.
I will admit it was a bit weird, but I suppose there must have been loads of stuff to do beforehand. You know, the setting up, all the rest of it. Maybe he was in charge of that.
A bit weird.
Yeah.
A bit weird. He's not in there for a month.
Yeah.
2 weeks. It's embarrassing. So anyway, he was, took some time off. Colin Brazier stepped into his show. He was a Sky broadcaster, I think it was. And Andrew Neil puts on a brave face about this. In 2 short weeks, we've already built a loyal audience that has beaten our expectations. It's often bigger than the other news channels, and it's growing. So on behalf of GB News, I say to all of our viewers, thank you. We won't let you down, and you ain't seen nothing yet. 2 months later, everyone's wondering, well, where is Andrew Neil? Is he ever coming back? It's been 2 months and he's done 2 weeks worth of work. Where is he? What are his excuses for this? And so this
Foreigners watching as well. Andrew Neil's kind of like a Tucker Carlson, let's say.
Yeah. He was like the mainstream non-woke broadcaster that everyone tuned into to watch on the BBC. He was huge, massive. Like it was under his like reputational leadership that GB News was being founded and brought together a bunch of people who people already knew. You know, there's very few like no names that were attached to the GB News project. And so Andrew Neil, after 2 weeks going, right, okay, good luck guys, and then pissing off for 2 months, just shocking, right? So anyway, he was expected to return to his 8 p.m. show on the 6th of September. So it's like 3 months off he was taking for some reason. Literally just after it had been started. But insiders were like, well, it's unlikely that he's going to return. Apparently he'd had a standoff with the channel's chief executive, Angelos Frangopoulos, because Angelos wanted to become more populist and Andrew Neil wanted to maintain a kind of elitist veneer to it or something like that. And these two apparently didn't get on. And so Andrew Neil was like, right, I'm just not going to do the work. Is that okay? Weird. But anyway, so in his absence, he had begun GB News literally saying, we will not be taking the knee on GB News. Literally, we will not take the knee. And in his absence, well, one of the presenters decided to take the knee. And that caused their audience figures to absolutely collapse. It's unbelievable. I mean, I love Mercy's look of absolute disgust behind him of this guy taking the knee. How could you do this? You know, there's expressly a woke gesture where it expressed the anti-woke station. What are you doing?
Yeah, but they did do the responsible thing and be like, well, get out now.
They did fire him, yes.
Yeah.
But again, like, imagine if Sky News, one of their presenters, was doing a Hitler salute or something. You'd be like, what are you doing? You know, it's like, well, yeah, we'd fired him. It's like, yeah, of course you fired him, but why would they do that? You know, what did they think they were standing to gain? But anyway, so this led to an audience boycott, which led them to have no measurable audience on certain shows. During the same time slot, BBC was getting 62,000 viewers and Sky News was getting 50,000 viewers. And so with Neil in absentia and the viewing figures collapsing, they did the only thing they could do to save the channel, the station, no, it wasn't the channel, and bring Nigel Farage on. And just say, Nigel Farage did a brilliant job, right? His opening episode, fantastic. And the whole difference between the sort of showmanship and presentation between the other presenters and Farage was just night and day. A lot of the sets on GB News were just absolutely awful, looking like some sort of high-flying London apartment or something. And it's like, that's not what you're looking for, is it? The aesthetic is a terrible aesthetic. So Nigel Farage has his well-lit studio. He's got his, beer and pints as if he's sat in a bar to interview people. It all looked very homely. It looked very good, but it looked clean and modern at the same time. And so he did a good job. And Farage was getting some serious viewing figures, something like 130,000 on his first day. So that's at least something, that brings them back. And so Andrew Neil apparently doesn't like this because Andrew Neil didn't like Farage. This was, as The Guardian points out, considered him to be outflanked by Farage, because Farage, obviously, being a populist, Andrew Neil being an elitist, has let them essentially come to loggerheads. So he made it clear, apparently, that he had little interest in working with Nigel Farage when he left the BBC to join GB News. And 1 year later, Neil is deciding whether to return from a 2-month holiday to a channel that in his absence has not only promoted Farage to be its star presenter, but is rebuilding much of its schedule in the image of the Brexit Party founder. It's like, well, yeah.
That's a good thing.
A, that's a good thing because he was bringing in the numbers. But B, where did you go?
Well, it's also just the right politics. I mean,
Well,
if
yeah,
you're going to make
absolutely.
the opposite to the BBC, that's it.
Yeah.
That's the whole point. That's why you're doing this.
I mean, Nigel Farage goes on Fox News fairly regularly. He campaigned with Donald Trump. Like, if you are gonna create a British Fox News, then you want Farage at the helm of that. You know, he's a flagship presenter. Because I mean, he is a great presenter as well. You know, there's just no getting around it. He's very experienced. He worked on LBC. So anyway, The Guardian can't not just talk about what Neil has done without making him look terrible. So far, Neil has hosted 8 of the 41 episodes of his eponymous show. Yeah, just that's terrible. It's embarrassing. Like, as someone who set up his own media company, imagine if after 2 weeks I'd pissed off and left you to do it all yourself. Like, that would be awful.
I'd be pretty bad.
Yeah, of course you would. Rightfully so. Like, it's awful that Andrew Neil has done this. It's such terrible leadership, right? And so he hadn't decided what to do, apparently, saying that the key dynamic is because of him and Farage. But a spokesman for GB News said, oh, no,
For
we've
what?
always... Because of populism, that's why. Anyway, so the point is, though, Farage is just one man and he can't do it all by himself. And so his ratings have dropped as well. But his ratings are still pretty good, to be honest. So that, you know, they're complaining that, oh, well, he had 137,000 viewers on the first week or so of his show, which has gone down to 43,000. But I mean, 43,000 is still comparable to the BBC and Sky. It's still in the same ballpark.
I just wish they'd give him more time because,
Yeah.
like, his discussion with Peter Hitchens was very interesting.
Yeah.
I wish they had more time to have it
Yeah,
out.
but I mean, he's the only thing left on there. I mean, it's not like Andrew Neil's getting any ratings on there, not presenting his show. And so the question is, why is GB News doing badly? Now, I actually do think that one of the reasons is the kind of boringness of their shows. I actually don't watch them. And it's not that I don't like the BBC News presenters individually. There are lots of them that I know personally I think are really nice people, good people. But I guess it's the problem when you have like literally a new channel and you've got all of these shows brand new. You don't know what any of them are going to be like, you know, whether any of them are stick or anything like that. And so, you know, some are going to fail and, you know, they need to start being innovative. But one of the reasons I think is that leftists have refused to go on there. So Owen Jones tweeted out, I keep being bombarded from requests by GB News producers to go on their show, go on the channel. Obviously, so I say no or ignore. I've checked with other left-wing commentators, exactly the same story. As their audience collapses, they're looking to us to save them with outrage clicks. If we can go to the next one, John, just so you can see it. And so someone points out that it's like, yeah, but you're complaining that it's an echo chamber, so I won't go on. But it's an echo chamber because you won't go on. And if your message is clearly that strong, why wouldn't you go on?
Yeah, surely you'd win in any domain.
You just BTFO them. But of course you won't, because you know that it's not going to be a curated space for your sensibilities. Anyway, so things are not going well, and producers are leaving GB News. As the Times reports, 3 senior producers at GB News quit within days of each other last week. And this was, if you can scroll down, I can't remember the date of this one. It's only a couple of days ago, though. Yeah, so literally 2 days ago. So, and this is because of the station's increasingly populist agenda that polarizes those within the newsroom. What do you mean? What's polarizing about that? What do they think that they're doing at GB News?
Like, this is meant to be the base station. That's the point.
That's like, we're not woke. We're going to provide news and coverage that deals with the regular people's interests. Is literally how they framed it. But we don't populism in our. What do you think that means? That's
It's
what that is.
strange because I mean, like some of the shows I have enjoyed, like especially I don't have a TV, but when I'm down with my parents and they have a TV on or whatnot, like I've seen some shows where Calvin Robinson does good, like Andrew Doyle does very good in my opinion. I really enjoy his stuff, and I can't remember the guy, but there was an ex-BBC guy who did some good segments just chatting with like Labour MPs, and you could see the Labour MPs like sweating bullets throughout the whole thing. But the idea that it being populist is a bad idea. What's the point in it if it's not?
Yeah. What are you for? You know, with the old elitism, but we just don't want it to be woke. So why? Who wants that?
So that's the thing. I mean, this sounds like a good thing to me.
Yeah.
Like if all the people who are not populist are just going to purge themselves.
Oh, don't get me wrong. It is. It's just again, I'm very disappointed in Andrew Neil's leadership because, again, former BBC anchor Simon McCoy is also believed to be reconsidering his position there. And so what this boils down to is a lack of leadership means that people are jumping ship. I mean, we can see this in many other places, like in Afghanistan, where if the president runs away, why would anyone else stay? You know, and if the leader of the star presenter runs away, well, okay, you clearly don't have faith in your own creation.
Was he ill or anything?
No.
Is he just old?
Maybe.
Like, I'm trying to think of reasons as
But
to
he's
why.
not said that it's because I'm an old man.
Yeah. I do find it strange to take a 2-month holiday. I'm trying to find a reason for it.
But the thing is, right? So GB News, and I'm trying to be kind about this, but it's not doing very well. It's been plagued with problems. If there was ever a time for a glorious return for Andrew Neil, it's now, right now. But instead, Andrew Neil has left. What are you supposed to do then? Right, so the guy set this up and left after 2 weeks, just isn't coming back. We can go to the next one, John. Andrew Neil has resigned as chairman and lead presenter of GB News just 3 months after helping to launch the channel. And he had only been there for 8 weeks. No, 10 weeks. He hadn't been there for 10 weeks. He'd been there for 2 weeks and then took 10 weeks off. Unbelievable. Channel's 3 months old. What is he doing? Like, this is embarrassing. What kind of work ethic is this? Oh, I couldn't take that there were technical problems and that leftists on Twitter were dunking on me. Then the problem's you, Andrew, right? Anyway, so he apparently will continue to contribute to GB News as a regular guest commentator. And in a statement, I mean, maybe this is him saying he's an old man, but he's saying, I've decided to reduce my commitments on a number of fronts. Over the summer, I've had time to reflect on my extensive portfolio of interests and decided it was time to cut back. Well, why did you cut back everything? Why don't you cut back everything other than GB News? Like, you just started this project. It's 3 months old. You're like, yeah, so I'm going to abandon that one.
I don't know what else he does that's this
Well,
important.
he's the chairman of The Spectator. He probably does a few other things.
Okay.
But, like, you know, cut back on them. The Spectator's doing well. They clearly don't need you. You know, GB News is not doing well. They clearly need you. Anyway, he says, I wish GB News well and continue to fulfill its founding promise and mission to reach audiences currently underserved by existing news broadcasters. Yeah, that would be populism, Andrew. Those popular audiences that are underserved by the woke BBC. And, of course, he announced this on Twitter. We go to the next one. It's official. I've resigned as chairman and lead presenter of GB News. Just embarrassing. Because this then led to rightly earned dunking by leftist idiots. Like the next one, Jim Felton. Jim Felton is like one of the smallest brained leftists in the world. And he gets to say, oh, sad loss for the channel's 0 viewers. It's a funny dunk. You earned that, and it was more liked than your original tweet. You earned this. The next one. After all the years of hard work you put into building up the name of GB News, you deserve this break, Andrew. Proud of you. Yeah, absolutely. They're not wrong. That was an SNP, member of the Scottish Parliament. Again, other people, you did a solid couple of weeks' work there, fella. Sorry your cultural nonsense wasn't a success. Yeah, me too. But I mean, maybe if you'd done more than 2 weeks' worth of work, it would have got better. Who knows? And then, of course, people carried on. There goes the veneer of respectability. Now we'll watch GB News descend into the hate-spewing hellmouth we all knew it was destined to become. Step forward Steve Bannon, Seb Gorka, Katie Hopkins, and all the other ghoulish far-right propagandists. Oh, come on. Come on, let's do it, you know?
The Steve Bannon and Seb Gorka episode's going to be good. Looking forward to that.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
You know, give Katie Hopkins... I look forward to Lord Voldemort's Sunday show. Wouldn't that be brilliant? I would love it. This is an underserved audience. Now the elitists are being scythed off from the I mean, I bet people would start watching.
I mean, that's the thing. I don't feel like, dunking on GB News or anything. I'm not saying you are.
I'm annoyed. No, I'm dunking on Andrew Neil.
Yeah, but because this may very well be a good thing. Like, if people in central London types who can't deal with Nigel Farage, get over yourself. And if they can't, then they just leave. Well, okay, fine. Then everyone else is just going to carry on doing good work.
Seriously, get Katie Hopkins. She's a good presenter. She's a very, very good speaker. Get Katie Hopkins. Get Tommy Robinson. Get all of those people who are not allowed on TV. Let them have their own show. See what happens.
Just have them on as a guest, if not.
Give them their
just
own
for an
show.
episode, why not?
Own shows, hour-long show. Tommy Robinson. Let's see what he has to say. Katie Hopkins, let's see what she has to say. Steve Bannon, I want it. And the thing is, though, if the leftists aren't screeching, are you even doing your job? You know, what is the point of doing anything if they're not screeching and howling like you're beating them with a stick? You know? Anyway, carry on. Like, you know, people just like, you know, hilarious display. The meme, just start a news channel on cheap get upset, run away. On the cheap. 65 million is on the cheap, is it? Anyway, so what did we learn from this, right? We learned from this that leadership matters. Andrew. The absence of leadership can destroy even the most well-funded and best-equipped organizations. Andrew, you failed them. They didn't fail you. And we covered this question of leadership, in fact, in last week's epochs that you can go and see on lotuseats.com, talking specifically in the context of the First Punic War, but it was as true then as it is now. This is just an eternal truth. Like Carthage, unbelievably well equipped, stacks of cash, brilliant talent, and yet the leadership of the Carthaginian state was terrible, and they didn't know what to do. And so what did they get? Well, they brought in one Spartan general and turned the entire war around. That's why. And this is just insufferable. This is a classic lesson of history that someone as well educated as Andrew Neil should know. And it doesn't take much spine or backbone to just sit there and go, you know what, I just don't care what the rest of them are going to do. I'm just going to do my job and actually present the news as I said I was going to. I'm really annoyed about this. Really annoyed about it.
I'm like in the chat response to the idea of tea time with Tommy or something like that. But there is a good
brilliant,
point, though.
wouldn't it?
Like if you brought on, I mean, you don't even have to agree with these people, obviously.
No,
so
no,
you
of
bring,
course.
You bring on Tommy, Katie, even Alex Jones or whatever, right? I mean, like Piers Morgan did this.
Yeah.
You just have them on and then disagree with them if you disagree with them. Like bring up a topic that you know you're going to disagree on if you're worried about optics or something, right?
It'd be fascinating.
And then who cares? Like the discussion still gets to be had.
Yeah.
And that's the interesting part, and that's kind of the whole point.
And woke leftists will screech about it all day, which means you're doing a good job.
If you enjoyed that segment from the podcast The Lotus Eaters, you can go to lotuseaters.com to get access to the full premium content we have on the site.
Yeah, we've got some really good stuff. Like podcasts, we can't really put up on YouTube or other public domains because we're dealing with sensitive subjects and we don't want to be misconstrued in what we're saying here. The most recent one I've done is the Progressing to Destruction podcast, which is talking about the actual impact of immigration on the United Kingdom. There are lots of progressive arguments on how the ethnic diversity of the restaurants that you're enjoying has nothing but positive results for the United Kingdom, and that's not true. And we can actually see some of the consequences of this. And so I go through that in detail. We also have our regular series, such as the Epochs of the Lotus Eaters, where we talk about history, myself and Bodade. With this particular one, I really enjoyed because it's talking about the Battle of Tunis and why leadership matters, because this was in the First Punic War, where Carthage is losing horrifically to the Romans, and they can't understand why, because there's nothing wrong with their navy, there's nothing wrong with their army. Turns out it was all about the leadership, and all it took was one Spartan general to come and turn the entire thing around, and that was a fantastic episode. I really enjoyed doing that. And we also have the Contemplation series that Josh and Hugo do. This is really interesting, where they just take an interesting subject and go through it in meticulous detail. This particular episode is the science of conformity, and you may well have seen lots of people still wearing their masks in the UK and elsewhere, even though you don't have to. And this goes into why psychology shows that people happen to do this kind of thing. We also have lots of premium articles, again, dealing with subjects that often are not something that you can adequately have a conversation with a bad faith actor. This particular one is free speech and the trope of gay parenthood, which on the, immediately you think, okay, this is going to be politically incorrect in some way, but it's not really. It's actually a very delicate article expressing concern that this is yet another subject where the results aren't in, we don't know what the consequences of this are, and yet we're still not allowed to question the premise. And it's because of the current political environment that we're in. Also, there are lots of other just very interesting and informative articles, such as one by Hugo about how overpopulation isn't real. It's not a real thing. And yet we're constantly told that it is. But the Earth is enormous. And it turns out it can hold billions more humans than we actually have. So, interesting that. And we also have loads of very interesting interviews with people who you may not have heard of, such as Hatton Tash, the lady who was attacked, a Christian lady who was attacked at Speaker's Corner for questioning Islamism. She was stabbed in the head. In very interesting interview with her and various others. And of course, we have a live event coming up on the 24th and 25th of September. Now, the 25th of September one is sold out. So you'll have to, if you would like to come and see us, come to the Friday 24th September one. This is in South London. As you sign up, you will be emailed the exact location because there are bad faith political actors out there who might try and interfere with the event itself. So there we go.
If you want to get access to all the premium content, please go over to lotuseaters.com and subscribe to keep the show running. Thank you and goodbye.